Welcome to this next episode of YouTube, where it seems like we've got a little spring fever going on, and that's probably because the weather got up to 25 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's better than 25 below. One thing about February weather, we still have 20 below weather, but the daytime temperatures and the angle of the sun make it warm fairly quickly, and so the wolves get pretty excited when the sun comes out and it starts to warm up a little bit. And here's Luna rolling around on their back, and Bolts comes over and does a little bit of inguinal presentation, kind of sniffing her, and then she doesn't care much for it, so she gives him a foreleg stab and then kind of rolls around, and he gets a little bit of a jaw spar bite, and Luna, as we've said before, doesn't care much for jaw sparring, so she's going to give a little threat display, and what started out as a social encounter, Bolts is going to kind of follow up with some bites, but Luna typically wins. And again, that's just the vulnerability of rolling around on your back. So, as I said, these pups are getting pretty excited. The jaw sparring continues with the pups, and Luna's activity is getting much better. You can see her bolt up to the top of the pen there. She is going after Denali, who's at one of her caches, and she has a lot of caches up on the top of the enclosure. This one happens to be a piece of chicken, so she gets it from Denali. She charges him, and you can see there she was a full gate run. So the warmer weather is making her feel better, which really probably reinforces the idea that the metal plate in those severe cold weathers is probably causing her some of that irritation. So we are, again, looking at Luna here eating a piece of chicken that she somehow discovered Denali was up by the cache, and so she went up and continued to take out the cache and then continue to consume the food. So, like I said, the pups are really leading a lot of this spring kind of fever, we call it, and Denali's kind of getting the brunt of it. Luna and Bolts seem to, again, choose Denali as their dominant kind of testing grounds, probably because Hayden keeps such a good control over Denali. They see that as an opportunity to really kind of, go and participate. And so this is Aiden showing a little dominance to Denali. Denali's got his tail fairly low and then does an escape there, and Bolts kind of chases after him. Luna is the same. She will go face-to-face with Denali, even though he's almost twice as tall as she is. Doesn't bother Luna at all. So they'll use Aiden's kind of control, because Aiden's, when there's a lot of pup wrestling in with Denali, Aiden's fairly close by to kind of keep it under check. And, a lot of people question whether he's protecting the pups or whether he's just watching Denali possibly gaining some status and really putting an end to Denali gaining status. That's probably a combination of both. He does still seem to favor those pups, and he does a little bit of a hip slam there. You see Denali running away with some hackles. He's not real. Well, obviously you're at the bottom of three other wolves kind of grabbing at you. It certainly is going to cause a hackle response, so he's not real a willing participant in this kind of interactions, but he does stimulate it quite a bit. So, like I said, we see the pups just doing pup things, and when they do get to be a group on them, we'll see Denali with a tuck tail. So these are just juveniles. I mean, these are young adults who are trying for rank, and then Aiden, who's pretty good at putting Denali in a subordinate posture if it gets too rough. We anticipate that this will increase as time goes on, and Denali may have to really contend with what's his rank within these individuals, especially the male rank of Bolts, Aiden, and Denali. Clearly, Aiden's not going anywhere. He's pack leader, and it's going to be between Denali and Bolts. And how Luna fits into that is going to be an interesting part of those dynamics. So Luna having a strong relationship with Bolts, it may even support Bolts in that maneuver. So spring also means that there's a lot of things that are kind of in the melt zone. We obviously haven't melted a lot of snow, but areas where it's dark have a little bit of sun, and that starts to melt and things come out of the snow. And this just happened to be a stick. It's not any food-related thing, but it was dark, and the dark coloration absorbed some heat, and that melted first and created some interest and some digging. So this is Luna again and Denali. These little tussles don't last very long. they're short-lived and they go about their business. As a matter of fact, most biologists believe that a lot of these short-lived dominance hierarchy things are important to prevent more intense fights with an unclear idea of rank order. So even though it doesn't look like it's any fun for Denali, it's certainly not too much of an issue. So we go over to Grizzer's enclosure, and of course whatever goes on in the exhibit pack gets Grizzer excited. So you're going to see a sequence of about 5 or 6 chases that are going on. And again, some of this is warmer weather. You know, when it gets to be 25 degrees, we're all kind of got a little hop in our step, and it feels pretty good. What's kind of fun about it is if you're filming him, he comes right next to the camera, and he does a race around, so he's going all the way to the back far end of his enclosure and coming back through, and this is just filmed as it occurred. So he made about 6 passes before he got distracted by one of the wolf care staff that was in the exhibit, or sorry, in retirement, and so he stops to see what's going on over there. But these are good, good stimuli for Grizzer, and again, it's something that wolf care staff will be actively involved in, meaning that sometimes Grizzer even jumps over you if you happen to be down low on the ground. We are still using straw, even though it's warm during the day. We still have some cool nights, and so that means fresh straw gets to be marked and scraped, and a little bit of excitement. And then I'll leave you to listen to Grizzer howling here. There's a little bit of a clip, about maybe 2-minute clip of Grizzer howling with the pack. Once Grizzer's done howling, he's actually kind of listening for some activity. There's a car backfire in the background on the highway that catches his attention, but it makes for a good stimulus for Grizzer. Like I say, he's in the middle of these 2 packs, so even for a wolf that has to be alone, this is a good way to be still part of the social group. He can see both of them from this high vantage point in the back of the den and keeps him pretty active. So over in retirement, Malik and Shadow doing much better. We've no longer see the diarrhea issue. The scats look good. Diet is increasing. Both of them are consuming a really good amount of food. We're seeing Malik doing a little bit of testing of Shadow yet, but Shadow is clearly on the mend and getting back whatever status he lost during that little period of being ill. Compatibility is good. They're interacting. There's 2 behaviors that we see that tell us that Shadow's back on the man. One of them is an overmark, and this is where Malik is doing an RLU, and Shadow's right behind him to mark. The other one is the chin rest, and we saw both of them today while we were doing wolf care. So I'll leave you with a clip of Shadow, who starts Howl, and actually the entire pack joins in with him later. That hoarse 13-year-old voice there, so enjoy. Malik got a little intimidated by the camera and actually moved off to the back. The camera lenses, the eye seems to be a little intimidating, especially for those lower-ranking wolves. That's it for YouTube this week. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.